Hi friends, welcome to Tech ARK YouTube channel. My name is Ravi. In this video session we are going to see that how to set up your own RHCE lab to practice at home.
Like, share, comment and subscribe.
So basically for RHCE practice you need LDAP server and Kerberos server, DNS server as well as NTP server. So these are the main services we required to practice to RHCE in real time. So in order to set up these, actually what you have to do, so here I'm using the VMware workstation. Just go ahead and say that create a new virtual machine, say a typical, and here we need the resources. Okay, for just I am going to create for RHCL 7 and say that I'm just going to create this a client machine over here. Okay, and say that 20 GB is enough for us, and configure the customization and remove this printer and sound card required. So then the RAM going to be a 4 GB and click finish. So like this you are going to create a new virtual machine over here and say that edit this configuration and attach the ISO file. Okay, that's it. And now start this and install the operating system. Start your virtual machine, then your it will be booted into your Linux things. Currently we are going ahead and install CentOS 7. Okay, now the welcome screen of the CentOS 7 installation, and here you can select your keyboard language, whatever the language you prefer. I preferred English, and click continue. After that it will come to the main screen over here, the installation summary screen. Here you can select your date, so which zone you are currently into, and that zone you can select it, so it automatically set your time, date and time using based on that time zone. And the keyboard language, if you want to set any keyboard like if you are using any other keyboard layout, you can set that keyboard layout over here. And the language support, I already selected English, so that would be English only. And the installation media, currently we are not doing any remote installations over here because we using the local installation media, which is ISO file. And here on the software selection, you just click on over here. For the first time you just go ahead with the server GUI option, and in these packages you just install the compatibility libraries for your previous versions, because few of the commands all of the sudden you surprised that if config is not working or some other commands are not working on your Linux. So if you do not install these compatibility libraries, the previous command may not work. Okay, but to avoid that confusion, if you want to stay tuned with the previous some commands, because which are already compatible or the flexible you are already into, so that you can just install these compatibility libraries, so that that would be resolved. So these are the packages which are already segregated as a different web servers, print servers, infrastructure servers. The recommended most of the times is the minimal installation. For the first time you don't want to work the little bit difficult on CLI directly if you do not know anything, so that we are going ahead and installing the server GUI version, and it will resolve your dependency packages and say something after this one. And let's wait, so it will automatically check your dependencies and package list. In the meanwhile we can go ahead and do a destination setup. In the sense, this hard disk setup we are going to do on a partitions. So I do not do any automatical. If you do not know anything, or if you don't want to do any partitioning setup, you can simply click on automatically configure my partitions. It will automatically configure for you. But we are the administrator, we should know something like we should create it manually. Then click on I will create partitions manual and click on done. And here you can select, there are some options: standard partitioning, LVM partitions, and BTRFS partitions. But we are standard partitions, you can create it for the things if you want to practice something, or LVM would be a most preferable option later if you want to extend your partitions or do something on it, then you can do using the LVM. So in this I'm not going to do any partitions manually. Okay, so you can click on manually. If you want to create a place, you can click on the place and select the mount point, all the mount points, and create it. Okay, or else let it create. So maybe I'm giving the 15 GB space for our slash, and I'm giving slash boot would be in a 500 MB because this stores your booting files. And I'm going ahead and creating home path, and the home path is going to be a 5 GB maybe, because I'm not going to create much files on the my home path. And I maybe specify our swap space double into the RAM. My space already is 4 GB, so that I'm going to give 8 GB over here. So 8 plus 15 and 5 GB, so it is not 40 GB. Maybe you can create one more, maybe where we'll increase var file system, so that this is more than actually slash and slash post is more than enough for our operating system. But we are going ahead and creating multiple partitions for our good structure on operating system, and click on done. Then accept the changes, whatever the changes you are going to make it, and customize partitioning and kdump, and I'm not going to enable. And click on the networking part and say switch off your Ethernet, and here itself you can configure your customized customized IP address for this. So manual IP address, and add your IP address. So whatever the IP address, 192 dot maybe whatever the series you already configured on your networking. Okay, I say 2.140 over here, and 0, and gateway would be 192.168.2.2. so this gateway in IP address, and you can see on the network configuration stuff, the DNS you can give any public DNS IP address over here, and click save. Okay, and you can also set up your local machine name. So I'm going to set up that server.arkit.local. so my machine name would be this one, and done. So we already set up date, keyboard, language, installation, all the stuff. Okay, then security policy we are not going to set up anything over here, later we configure it. Click install, and set the root password. So it should be more than strong enough. The root password would be because if you give weak password, you have to click done 2 times so that it will accept, or else it will not accept. See this? So it should be something more complex. Something like this. Okay, the your mission while booting your operating system, which will ask you to accept your license agreement. You can just click on the agreement and click say okay, and your network configuration is already connected. Stop, yes, and it will asking you to log in on the CentOS 7 is ready to rock. So this is your first CentOS on this server over here. So what I'm doing over here, it is that go to snapshot and take the snapshot. I say that fresh OS. So this is the fresh OS I just installed on this server. So now I just created this snapshot. Using this snapshot, I'm just going to do is that clone this machine, and say this using this fresh OS over here and create a full clone and say that client machine. Okay, that's it. It's going to be create a clone machine over here quickly. So here I'm going to create for RHCE lab. RHCE lab is that 3 servers basically. One server we set up all this LDAP and Kerberos, all the stuff, and we just keep it a repository ready with that in that server. And 2 more servers we are going to create for. One is will be acting as a actual server for our lab and client. So the other one, the third VM, is in a standard server which has all the services installed in it. So cloning is done. Now you can see this client machine. Like this, you can again clone this machine to create one more clone. So currently I'm not cloning it because I can create later point of time, but you know the procedure how to create it. So just switch on this machine. Okay, our machine is switched on. Just log in as a root in order to install these services. This terminal over here. Okay, now what I'm doing over here is that just click mount and see this, the device is already mounted. Okay, what I'm doing is that I'm just going to unmount this one /dv/sr0 and I'm mounting it again back to /dv/sr0 to /mnt, so which is going to be easy for us. Clear the screen and go to mnt over here and see this, the packages. Now what I'm going to do is that just install rpm-import. You just import this key over here because this is an important thing, is that if you import that one, then you don't need to it will not show you an error that the system is not registered, something like that. And go to packages and say rpm-ivh and say create repo package. You have to install it. Now a package is already installed, it seems. Just go to cd/etc/m.repos.t. here just create a file, any file with the .repo extension, and add this, say that arkit dvd repo. I just say that okay, name equal to anything, you can just create it, arkit dvd repository, something like this, and say base URL. You have to type the base URL is a file /mnt because our DVD is mounted on /mnt. you have to give that path, and enabled equal to 1 and gpg check equal to 0, because I already added this gpg key, no need to check again it back. Now clean all, so just clean the previous repositories, clean the database and say that list all. So now you can see that our repository is going to be listed over here. Now our repository is listed back. Okay, and just now you have to install this server, the server called free IPA, which means that identity policy and audit. So this is a thing you have to install. If you install this pre-IPA identity event policy audit management, you will get all these services. What are the services you required for your things? Like you can install NTP Server, LDAP and DNS and Kerberos, and 389 directory services server will be installed on the server. That is enough for us, enough for our practice. So in order to install it, you have to run this installation first. So let's run yum install IPA -server and bind package you have to install, and nds-ldap is the package name for the LDAP, and bind dyn-db -ldap is the dependency packages you have to install over here. It just asks you for the confirmation, just install it, and the total dependency packages including is 177 packages is going to be installed in this machine. Okay, this machine is going to be ready with these package installations. Let's see this. Now all the packages got installed, whatever the packages are required over here. Now just do a nmtui configuration. This we are just going to edit this IP configuration and going to set this IP address manually, so which is actually automatic. Now I'm just going to set this as a manual over here. So before this, just I'm going to duplicate this here and see this configuration file. So 2.43 is the IP address already we get. The same IP address I am just going to assign to here over here. Okay, just add the IP address, say 192.168.2.43, and I'm just going to add the gateway 192.168.2.2 and the DNS server. So there is no DNS server actually, but our DNS server is same as gateway, so that's why our DNS server I'm just going to add. And domain name we are just going to configure. This is the first time. Okay, that's why I'm just going to create that arkit.lab.local. okay, this is the domain name we are going to add over here. That's it, and say okay, and come back from over here and again go to nmtui and set the host name, and you have to set this host name over here. Say that ipa.arkit.lab.local. this is our domain name with fully qualified domain name. Now you can see this, the host name has been set and IP address is set. Just restart network. We have to add this host on the host entry. Before that you have to disable the cronid service. Okay, let's say that disable cronid, disable this cronid service over here. systemctl stop cronid service. hostname is set. Now what, the package is already installed, so we have to set it up the packages, the server we have to set up. So in order to complete our setup, we have to install IPA server -install along with the DNS. Set up the DNS as well. Enter, and it will ask you for the configuration. So it says that existing configuration already detected. Do you want to override? Yes, because I do not have any existing bind service over here. So it says that server hostname is going to be ipa.ark80.lab.local. Do you want to set the same one? Yes. Please confirm the domain name. So our domain name is going to be ark80.lab.name. Yes, the domain name is going to be. Please provide the real name. So you have to remember this real name. So ark80.lab.local in capital letters, and which is asking for directory manager password. So this password you remember always, because this password is very important later point of time if you want to log in to the server. So again you have to provide the IPA admin password. Okay, passwords has been provided. Do you want to configure the DNS forwards? Yes, I want the forwards to be configured to 8.8.8. So here it is asking for the reverse configuration. Then it says that the bind configuration and IPA details. You just copy this entire configuration over here. This is the configuration. You just copy it and paste it somewhere over here. Okay, because this is very important information later point of time if you want these details. Okay, and save this one, and I'm just going to save this one as in the desktop and say that IPA server. Okay, save it, and let's continue this. So continue with the configuration. Do you want to configure with these values? Say, if you say yes, then it will continue. If you say no, again it will ask you for the configuration. Yes, then it will create all this LDAP configuration, NTP server, and LDAP Kerberos, and all these services, and it will be getting ready within a few minutes. So now our services are ready. Just you can see this, the information over here in the terminal will be posted in the last. See this, all this you must make sure that network ports are open. So these are the ports you have to open from the firewall in order to access from the external face. These are the ports you have to open it. Let's see this. So we have to write the firewall rules, saving those files. These are the required configuration files, the certificate files. So in order to configure the authentication, these are the files are required for us. Now what we are going to do here is that we have to write this firewall rules, firewall-cmd-permanent, and -add service. I'm just going to add HTTP and HTTPS and LDAP S and Kerberos, add bind. If bind is not available, then add port 53/TCP and UDP, and we have to add the Kerberos ports, which are non-standard ports, UDP ports over here, and NTP port, which is UDP port again. all the service, all the firewall ports are added. Now you have to reload your configuration. So it will show you that DHCP, HTTP, HTTPS, Kerberos, LDAP, SSH, all these ports are enabled. We are ready to go now. Now you just go to client side, or you can also see from over here like our IPA server is accessible or not. And this is our IPA server, and I'm just going to log into this admin username and password. Now our IPA server is ready. If you go to the host over here, there is only one host currently, right? So go to the client side and we have to add this the client to this server. I am just going to the client side over here and log into this machine. Now just open the terminal over here on the client machine and set up this IP address, static IP address, and all this information over here. Okay, let's say this is the manual I am just wanted to show over here, and IP address would be 192.168.2.44 for this client, and the gateway is going to be 255.255.255.0, and the DNS IP would be 192.168.2.43 because that is our DNS IP address. And this is the search one is that arkit.lab.local is the domain name, which we already set. And okay, we have to set up the host name as well, and set up the host name is that client.arkit.lab.local. okay, now just exit from the terminal and open the terminal back. You can see this client. Now just in the client side you have to set up these packages. In order to install the configuration file, you have to write the first of all open this resolve.configuration file, and this name server is going to be that server IP address over here 43, and save the configuration. Now install install IPA client. So these are the supported package, the PAM authentication modules and the IPA client packages you have to install over here. And see this, the configuration is going to be done, like the package is going to be installed. Now say yes to install the packages. The packages are going to be installed now. Packages got installed successfully. Just go like IPA client install. In the client side you have to install this IPA client to configure it. Now say that continue the configuration with these values. So it's already detected. You can see this discovery was successful. The client is client Arkit, so real name and the discovery all is done. So the information, if the information is correct, okay, then what you can do that say yes. Now user authorization to enroll these computers. So what you have to do is that in order to authenticate you have to just enter this username and password. Okay, say that this is the username is admin and the password is, you have to enter the password over here, and it's going to be discover this all the details, and it's going to be joined to that server. Now client configuration is successful, Actually we have to stop cron d dot service because this service sometimes interrupt our situations on the time synchronization, multiple synchronizations. Now you can go to the server and see this. Our client would appear over here. I can simply refresh. See this, the client is appeared from. So from here you can manage all these identity services like creating the users and groups and roles, assigning pseudo roles, all the stuff you can do from over here. Or if you can see this admin. So admin username, the admin username I did not created over here, but the admin is from the server side. So like this, if you can see this client authentication, that is successful. Or if you can go to the server side and create the user over here, example say that I just wanted to create this IPA user and say that IPA user one, something like this, password, and add. So the user is added. Now you can go to the client and query that username over here, IPA user. You can see this, the user. So or if you would like to log into this IPA user, you can still log into this client over here, but you can see this, the directory error, because the directory is not set up over here. You have to export these directories using this NFS. Later classes will learn that how you can export these home directories. That's about the basic server setup and the lab setup, how you are going to do for your RHCE examination, RHCE examination practice. That's about it, guys. Please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more upcoming videos and courses. Please follow us on social networking sites. If you have any technical related questions, you can ask